大家好，我是康云. Hello everyone, I'm Kang Yun, aka Cricket, aka Cloud, and welcome back to Chang'e's journey through Boletaria. Last time we took out the armored spider, and then through not too much trouble, we're able to get our piercing sword to +6 and our round shield to +7, and now we want to make our way to the High Tower Queen Archstone, the Archstone of the Ivory Tower Queen, or the High Tower Queen, and we'll go to the Prison of Hope. This, as I mentioned last time, is a level that is very much worth going to early on as a magician or royalty, because as we'll soon see, the area here, the area of Latria, was once a land of learned scholars, and there is a lot of equipment here that is beneficial to magicians. So we'll want to cast Invisible, because there are enemies that can see us from range. And if we go to the right, we'll see a locked gate, and we'll see this item here. And this is an Augite of Guidance. And we are greeted with lots of harrowing sounds. This is one of the most atmospheric levels in any video game I've ever played. We can see there's a torture chair here. This is the name Prison of Hope, I think, says a lot about what this is called. And actually, if we pay attention here, we can look and see that the Archstone is being held by a corpse. Some prisoner died in here. And we can hear some singing, as well as bell chimes. If we look up, we can see the sky, and we can see the moon. There's prisoners here in these locked cells. They're reaching out for help. You can unlock some of these cells without the keys, but we don't have a key just yet. And if we look here, we're at the Prison of Hope, 3rd floor, west side. And if you look at the camera, you can aim it just so you can actually make that out. Or if you use yeah, there's these enemies here. They're called Mind Flayers. You gotta be very careful, but they don't have good vision. And if you use Cloak... Oh, Cloak silences your movement too. I forgot about that. That's very cool. You can sneak up behind them, and they're very vulnerable to pierce attacks and backstabs, but they're resistant to magics, which is why I have Flame Toss. But if we use the camera mode, you can actually read that up close, which I don't think you could in the original game. Franz, a German spy, actually pointed that out in his playthrough, which I thought was very cool. And we pay attention to these because these are key hooks, and we need the keys to find our way and get through this level. If we break these coffins, we can get a soul item. We can unlock some of these cells, though they don't always yield any treasure. And you want to be careful about opening some of the cells because, as we'll see, they're not all great. If we continue through here, we can break some more coffins for another soul. And we can unlock this cell. And we'll get a Mercury Stone shard. Mercury Stone is good for making your weapon mercury, which will allow it to do poison. And if you'll see, there's a trend. Most levels, I think all the levels have stones unique to that given level, and this is one of those cells you want to be careful of because there are two prisoners in here with knives that will try to shank you as soon as you open it. And Mercury Stone is one of those stones that you get in Latria, which is good for if you're wanting to make a mercury weapon or a dexterity build. You have to be very careful when you're up close range to these enemies, because if they use that you see how powerful the cloak spell is. I used that and he lost track of me right away. These enemies have 3 attacks, and they all involve magic. They have a long-ranged attack that they shoot a soul ray spell at you that can hit you from very long distances, so don't ever underestimate that. So if they do spot you from range, that is the attack they will use. From mid-range, they will use a paralyzing beam, which has limited range. But if it hits you, you'll be paralyzed for a good few seconds, which is enough time for them to scurry in, and they'll speed up their run, and they'll close the gap, and they will then... That attack itself doesn't do any damage, but when it paralyzes you, they grab you with their tentacles and then spear you through the stomach. And it's a very gruesome looking attack, and it does a lot of damage. And then when you're up close range to them, they will lift their bell into the air and do a large area of effect magic attack that hits you, and it has a very deceptive and lingering hitbox, so you might roll away and think you're safe, but it'll still hit you. And if you roll away and then roll back thinking it's gone, you will very often roll back into it because it has this weird, almost quasi-invisible looking hitbox. So if we come over here where this guy was patrolling, we can open up another cell that will give us more mercury stone, another mercury stone shard. And I don't think there's anything in this cell. But we see there is a prisoner that's loose here, and these guys usually don't attack you, the ones that don't have weapons, but they're not great to leave alive because they will often follow you. They do drop Lotus, which is useful. That was a Noble's Lotus, which cures poison. They can also drop Moonlight Stone Shards, which we'll talk about that in a bit. But they'll follow you, and maybe if you think you don't want to kill them because you want to show them mercy. But what will happen is when you walk past and you get in a spot where you're encountered a mind flayer, like one of these enemies, and you don't want to you want to back away, suddenly they're all behind you and you can't move. And that, you see how big that hitbox is? And he couldn't even see me from that range because the cloak spell is actually more powerful than the Thief's Ring, which is why I'm choosing to use the Cloak spell rather than the Thief's Ring. And we see here another hook, and this is Prison of Hope, 3rd floor, east side. So that third character after 3, so it's Sunlo Dong. I think that's Fort. So I'm not certain of that last character, but it does mean area. And this, you can see there's a sparkling key on this one, and we get the 3rd floor cell keys, but we actually want, or what key was that at? No, it's a 3rd floor key. It's not a cell key. 3, and then this is key in Chinese is 钥匙. But you got to be careful here, because if you go through here, these guys have spears, and they will attack you with them. So you don't want to. You don't want to. You don't really want to engage with that. You can come over here and get a soul item. And if you can't deal with those guys, it's best to just run past and stay away. Another Mercury Stone shard. Stay to this left side so they can't hit you. I don't think there's anything in there we need. But I do want... You can hit them through the cells, but that cell doesn't have anything we need. Yeah, but we still are missing the key. I think we might have missed it. It's around here somewhere. Yeah, there it is. Yeah, this is the 3rd floor cell key, which will allow us to open these cells. The prison is oriented. There's 4 floors, 1 above us and 2 below us. And they're oriented in much the same way. There's a west and east side, except for the 1st floor has just an open area. And this hallway allows us to go between east and west. So let me just do a little backtracking. It's very easy to get lost in this level, which is why they give you these Algites of guidance right away. Which, if you're new, and even if you're not new, and you just start maybe forgetful, you can use these to place, like, say, mark a spot where you want to remember, like, okay, this is where I need to go back. And you can see those from a distance. This is a new addition to the remake. You can knock these corpses down. Somehow I feel like that should have broken it, but anyways, these aren't super important. They only have Noble's Lotus and I think Bright Water, which Bright Water would be nice for us, but it's not super important. We have another enemy in here. I think he was defenseless. And that is a moon... Oh, that's what he dropped. A shard of moonlight stone. And here we get the white-silver coronet, which is what the royal starts with. So if you didn't start as a royalty, you and you want to use magic and have more MP, you might want to come and pick that up. So yeah, we can see that there was nothing in here. There's the spear guys. I think that's everything. We can't actually access this. And it looks like the floor was broken and they bent this railing to prevent people from jumping, maybe? I don't know. But you do want to be careful here, because if there is that prisoner standing here, and he can, if you're not paying attention, cause you to fall when you're running through. And this Augite of Guidance will give off a sound, actually. I don't know that they did that in the original. That might be new. Don't think there's anything. Yeah, there's nothing in this cell. The lightning, very cool. Here we can loot the magician's clothes and the wooden catalysts. So if you didn't get the wooden catalyst in Boletaria 1-2, you can get it here along with the magician's clothes. 法师服, which magician is I don't know how you would. I guess that means magician 法师. The character 法 can mean like lawful, and 师 is like in this case is like master. But we can send these back because we started with that stuff. But I think it's assumed that or we can assume or presume that if our character had a background, perhaps it could have been somehow related to Latria. Yeah, you gotta be careful with this cell again. Like I said, I'm kind of opening these up just more or less to show what's in them. A lot of times I won't even bother with a lot of these cells, but that guy does have a knife, and they're usually hiding in the shadows. So now we're back to where we started, and we now have the key to open this gate, which is where we need to go to proceed further into the level. We'll cross through the fog and ascend the stairs. And this guy usually, I don't know if in the original game he would, I don't ever remember him coming down all the way here. He's usually way up here, but somehow he heard us. And now we're on the 4th floor. And coming in here, we can see a corpse with a soul. And we see our first Iron Maiden. These are... This game doesn't have treasure chests, but this might be the one form of a morbid sort of treasure chest. And your character gasps when you open them, which is a cool touch. And this one contains a Stone of Ephemeral Eyes. Not all of them are always good to open. And we have more of these. Yeah, I don't know why the one... Maybe the chain was too short in that room that I couldn't hit it with my fireball. You have to hit the chain. And you see I got some Noble's Lotus and some more Noble's Lotus, which that's useful if you don't really need those. And a couple episodes ago, I remember I said I didn't have any spice. What I meant, I said I didn't have any young or fresh spice. I had some old or aged spice, which this gives you 100 MP, this gives you 50. And at the time, I didn't feel like using it would have warranted regenerating the small amount of MP that I wanted to regenerate. But we'll equip some new spice if we feel we might need to use it. There are some more mind flayers around we want to be on guard for. And there's a lot of prisoners in here, and there are some items in there. I think these are, for the most part, harmless, but we don't have the cell key for this floor yet. And we come to another locked gate, and we can hear the bells of a mind flare. This is a trap, if you can't tell. You see these guys in the... There's a bunch of prisoners in the shadows in there. And when you go in there... Yep, see there's a... There are some that are unarmed, but there are several of them that do have weapons. And I think there's like 4 of them. That will, if you just run in here blindly and pick this up, it's just 1 new spice, and I mean it's not terrible, but it's really not that great of an item, and it's basically meant to draw you in and get you killed if all 4 of those guys gang up on you at once. And you have some prisoners that are alive, trapped in these pots, which is a very disturbing form of torture. There's a lot of torturing going on in here, which we'll find out more about that shortly. What that all is. So this cell is really not worth opening if you unless you like for some reason are desperate for spice. But you get that plenty in this level, so don't worry too much. So down below, well, you want to be careful not to fall here again. But down below, there was a hallway we could cross through to enter the east side. But not so up here. There's a cell with more Iron Maidens in it. We get a nameless hero soul. We get the black leather armor, or black leather garbs, which in this game it looks more brown, which I don't know. It looks alright, I guess. I guess I haven't seen it on the female, but there's another mind flayer around the corner, so we'll cast Conceal. And see, that was its paralyzing move. They are weak to fire too, so you can take them out. And see, it dropped 2 new spies for us. Now, I will show the black leather set. And I'll put on the ring of poison resistance and you'll see why. Oh, and even still, with all of that poison resistance, the knife of that enemy was strong enough to poison us. Now, actually, I am planning on doing a video. Where's our fragrant ring? There it is. I'm planning on doing a video at some point, hopefully soon, that is going to cover the strengths. I'll just cover all about bleed, poison, and plague. And something I've been meaning to test is how strong different sources of poison that can be inflicted on you in the game are. Now, if you come over here, you'll see there's a ring of keys, and you get both the cell and floor key to the 4th floor. So now we can go through, and this is I do believe this is the west side. Yeah, or no, this is the east side, 4th floor east side. But I don't think we can. Yeah, we cannot actually get to the other side from here. We do see another mind flayer over there, so we know we can get there. And we saw a player phantom over there as well. But if you run through here blindly, you'll fall down. You won't die, but you'll just fall to the 3rd floor below and have to do some backtracking. But how we access this, there's actually a hole in this wall here between the 2 cells from the west that connects to the west and east. So we want to try to take down this corpse again. I think, yeah, there's some bright water. That's literally what that says in Chinese as well, which is a new item, and it's a useful item. It regenerates your MP over time. I'm not sure how much it will regenerate. I haven't tested that, but it does it at a pretty quick rate. We don't need that right now because we have our fragrant ring. I was actually pretty surprised that that enemy still poisoned us with all the poison resist we have. So I think there's that cell with all the enemies, and there are a few items in here we want to loot. And opening this cell, I don't think any of these guys are hostile, but like I said, if you open this, when you come through here any other time now, these cells all stay open for the rest of the playthrough. And when you run past here, this is mostly what I was talking about. If you run past here, because there is a mind flayer on the other side of this, you see him right there. And if maybe you're in a situation where, oh, you want to back away, and all of a sudden, like, you're in the doorway, those prisoners will all follow you out here, and then suddenly they're blocking your way, and you can't get through because you didn't kill them, and they don't attack you, but they indirectly might get you killed or put you in a bad spot, so they're worth taking out. So we get some lotus that they dropped, and then in the corner here we have the claws. the hooked claws. And on the other side we have a secret dagger. The character for dagger is Rydell. That's there's a couple different ways you can say dagger, but in this particular case it's隐秘匕首, which, or is that? Yeah, I think that's me.隐秘, which is like a concealed secret, and then Rydell is. I don't think that's a common way to say dagger. There's another way, which I forget. But this is a really good dagger. I think it's the strongest dagger in the game and has good critical damage, which we can't, for whatever reason, you can't see the crit damage. The only time you see crit damage is if you make a weapon fatal, but daggers and rapiers have high crit modifiers, so they do good damage on backstabs and riposts. So that is a good weapon for crit or dex builds. We'll probably be using it at some point. And I can show it real quick. It's pretty small. It does have a thrust attack, so it should say, yeah. It does slashing damage and has a thrust damage. So on the two-handed R1 you have a thrust, and on the follow-ups it has a does slash. That's interesting, the overhead slash, and this is the R2. Backstep R1 is a thrust. Rolling R1 is a thrust, and the running R1 is also a thrust. It's the same two-handed. Yeah, it seems to be. And then the claws. Oh, we don't have enough dex for these actually, but they're pretty sinister looking. And these are you cannot two-hand these. Obviously, you need to get a second one to have a pair. But the claws do innate bleed. They have 120 bleed, which another thing I misspoke in another part where I was talking about the Reaper scythe, the pre-order scythe you get. That is 180 bleed, which is 3 HP per second for a minute, and then this is 2 HP per second for a minute. So yeah, those are the two weapons you get in that cell. I don't think there's anything else we can get along here. Yeah, there's no more. There's no more cells. So now we want to proceed through that locked gate. So excuse me though. I'm gonna take a sip of tea. Yeah, so this area has a lot of magic oriented stuff and also dex oriented stuff. Yeah, I think the fact that this conceals your sounds as well is really powerful. Get some more new spice. Now, when they do their paralyzing beam attack, they'll run at you, and then when they get close, if they didn't hit you with it, they will use their AoE blast. Now you see we're on the east side of the 4th floor. We're on the Let me see. Is this, yeah, we're on the other side of where that floor was broken. Because we saw this item. And the floor is missing here. But we also hear the source of the singing. And when you enter, she stops. This is a very useful NPC, especially if you're a caster.
You're still intact, aren't you? Where do you call home? Dear me, I shouldn't pry. Oh, perhaps you'd like something from my collection. I've known better days. I was once the wife of nobility, and I have some nice things to show for it. Before, there were many others trapped here, but they were driven mad and ventured above of their own volition. Redemption. There exists no such thing. The Queen banished that depraved old man from the land. He returned in strange golden garb with foul demons in tow. They pillaged great Latria, land of the learned, and shut us away in this prison. Since then, they've been feeding off our souls, telling us over and over that if we go above, we will be granted redemption. I know the truth. The church goddess may die, but never for long. We are trapped below forever. Redemption. There exists no such thing.
Yeah, so she drops a lot of lore on us about this area that basically the queen of this land, Latria, which she called it the land of the learned, as we've seen, the weapons are all, you know, skill-based weapons, and there's a lot of magic equipment here, as I pointed out. The queen banished, I guess it's implied that it was maybe at one point her husband or the king, or we're not really sure, but he left, and then much like King Alant returned with demons and basically it corrupted this whole area and started conducting strange, torturous experiments on the people here and trapping them and like keeping them in this prison with these demonic guards. So, her name is let's see,没落贵妇. I know those characters, but I'm not sure what. Oh, that's 没落. The first two characters are 没落, which means to decline or to wane. And then 贵妇 is mistress. But like, well, fu would be mistress and gui would imply royal mistress. So that's interesting. So she's like, they call her once royal mistress in English. So, but she's like a declining, and you can see by her face, she's quite, looks like she's suffered quite a bit. So she sells full moon grass, but Patches has this for 1,000, so it's a better deal. But what she does sell is fresh spice for 200, and she's the only source of old spice in the game. So both of these things make her very valuable to any caster. She also sells bright water, which I mentioned earlier. She sells this the avarice ring, basically a ring of greed. When you have this ring on, you get more souls, and it's quite expensive. You don't want to buy this because you'll get it later on in this level, just picking it up off the ground. She sells black bolts, the strongest crossbow bolts in the game. She sells the buckler or the round shield, the wooden catalyst, the piercing sword, basically my starting equipment minus the silver catalyst. She does sell moonlight stone shards for 3,000 a piece. So if you're making a lot of moonlight weapons and you don't feel like farming and you have a lot of souls, she could be a good place to buy some of those. She sells Augites of Guidance, Widow's Lotus for 1,000 a piece. This cures disease, which is a very potent status effect that lasts for 10 minutes, and it reduces your healing. It reduces the strength of your healing grass, and it also slows your stamina. So it's a very nasty status ailment to be afflicted with. And you encounter it only once in this level, but it's more pertinent when you enter the 5th level in the game. She sells the Noble's Lotus, which cures poison. Poison also weakens your healing grass, but it only lasts for 3 minutes, and it doesn't reduce your stamina recovery. We can buy 16 of those or 3 of those. I have 12 of those. I'm not super hard pressed on spice right now. We'll buy 5. So we can hear what she says when you buy something from her.
Thank you. Now I can stay here for a little while longer.
So if we use this camera mode, you might be able to hear my computer, which I'm exporting one of my videos. Yeah, she looks pretty... She looks pretty marred, I would say. Now, we're not really... It was in the original game, people have pointed out that it was kind of ambiguous as to whether or not she was wearing a mask or if she was just very malfigured. And it looks like the way that they've chosen to go with it in the remake is to show that she's very disfigured, and we're not certain if it's because of the torturing or if she just has gone this way from just over time of being locked in this cell. But this looks like she's made it homely as possible here. She's got a bed, candle, nightside books. She said, she does say she has nice things to show for it. She's got some gems. We see these gems, the same things used by the follower of God in the Nexus. She has a chest similar to that, and we see some urns here and more boxes. But she does have a couple corpses hanging in here, so, that's one right by her bed. I don't know about you. She's got a wardrobe. I don't know about you, but if I might have a hard time getting to sleep at night if there was a corpse hanging above me. But I guess you get used to it. So, yeah, that's the once royal or waning Royal Mistress. And if we continue this way, think there's a few things in here, but I'm pretty sure there's some more guys with daggers that will... Yeah, there's a guy trying to stab me right there. You see how that guy just ran out? Oh, and they can drop mercury stone shards. I guess the dagger ones can do that. You want to be very careful. And we killed him in one hit because he rebounded off our shield, and we got bonus damage. So I don't think there's any real reason to come in here other than for this item up here, which wasn't in here in the original game, and it's just another Noble's Lotus. And then here, if you got the hint from last time, there was the lone Iron Maiden that had the enemy in it. It's unfortunate, but it looks like you can't see how fast your HP depletes in the remake, which will make that harder to test, but I think I can test it in the original game, because I think the rate is the same way. So there's 3 Iron Maidens here, one with a soul, another with a soul, and then the most important one for us, or for anybody that's coming through here, is going to be the Magical Sharpness ring. And this ring, it raises your magic attack, but lowers your magic defense. So it's very good for casters. So we will be using that. So now there's no outlet to the 3rd floor. You can pick up some old spice here. There's another cell. With some noble lotus. Or maybe we are. Yeah, we are on the 3rd floor, but if you remember that spot where so this must be, yeah, we're on the east side of the 3rd floor, but we're on the side where we couldn't get to before because that is broken. And then there's a locked cell and there's a glowing light, and we can see there's an NPC in there. And we can talk to him.
Oh, human, are you? I am Freke. I have been trapped here for an age. Perhaps you could help me out of here. I am a sage, and I can lend you my power in return. Oh, but take heed of those tentacle-headed guards.
Yeah, so he is probably the single most important reason to come to Latria early on as a mage, because you can free him We don't have the key to do so just yet, but we will get that. It is in this level. And this is very easy to miss. If you just come through here and you run around, and you might run right past this, but there's a hidden corridor, a hidden stairwell that goes right down here. But freeing Sage Freke is very important because he will teach you spells that you cannot learn from the apprentice back in the Nexus, and he did tell you to save him. And coming through this corridor, we see a locked gate, which we cannot open, and we'll get another key, which is the key to the first floor and to the cells of the first floor. And this, it says we are on B9, which I'm not quite sure what that means. But this is the warden's chambers, but we don't have the key to that, to those gates just yet. So it's very easy to run past this key, so you want to take note of it there. But if you run past it, you can open that gate and come down here, and you'll be your eye will be drawn to this item here, which is a heavy crossbow and 9 black bolts. We're gonna use cloak because oh, not that ring. There is a mind flayer up ahead, and we'll test out our ring of poison or magical sharpness, and we do more damage with it. We still one-shot them. And the mind flare we hear is on another floor. Opening that cell, it just has some prisoners in it that we don't need to free. There's no items there. This guy, I forgot about him. He's not great. That was not the cell. I was mistaken. I wanted to open this cell. This one's empty, but I like having this cell because it is a cell you can hide in. If you come along here, you can hear somebody crying for help. It's this guy. You cannot open the cell. You don't have the key.
Well, you are a sane one, are you not? My name is Rydell. Please, liberate me from this jail. I have precious little time. I must retrieve an article from my corpse. As you can see, the only thing that remains of me is my soul. My corpse lies in another cell. I fancy it a fine, rotten mess by now. I've no interest in my corporeal flesh, but I left upon my person a keepsake of my late wife. I will soon fade into the beyond. My only wish is to do so near that token of my beloved. A retainer to the king once held the key to this cell. That foul pig with his gluttonous, swaying belly. As you can see, the only thing that remains, I will soon...
So the foul fiend that retained the key to the cell is meant to be, or it's implied that it's one of the fat officials. So this is something where world tendency plays a part. We're in neutral tendency here in Latria, as we are in all the levels. But if you come here when the tendency is pure white, this rebel here that's blocking this area, this other side, will be cleared. And there's another area in the second part of the level that you cannot access. And you see we're on the second floor west. But you cannot get the key to the second floor until you have pure white tendency, and it's in the second half of the level. And only when you do that can you come back and free him. So it's a world tendency event, and if you want to finish his quest, you'll need to get Latria to pure white. And when you come back in here in pure white, like I said, oh, yeah, we'll help you, Rydell. Just we can't right now. This rebel will be cleared. Something that I do want to point out, though, is that if you get pure white tendency, and you don't come here and you physically come to this location to see that this rebel is gone, and you die or change the tendency. If you die and get it in body form and it changes from pure white to anything less, and you come back here, this will still be here. But if you are in pure white, you come here and this rebel is gone, and you go and loot these cells, but maybe you don't loot them, and you change the tendency. Once this rebel is cleared and you've triggered that it's gone by coming here to see it, it will stay gone regardless of the tendency. If that makes sense. I hope it does. World tendency can be a little bit confusing, but we've encountered another world tendency event. So going back up will lead us to those warden chambers, which we still can't access. But if we didn't pick up that key in that corridor, that key is the first floor key, and this is the first floor. And it's easy to run past there, and you can't get anywhere on the second floor. And if you miss that key, you'll come down here and might be a little confused as to why you can't open this. So we want to use cloak here and the magical sharpness ring and take out our crisp blade, because there is a legion, as you can see, and he's not very weak to fire. But we don't want to engage him in melee, because if we do, he will it's a ball of corpses. Here I can try to show it, and it's hard to see when he's like lit up like that, but yeah, that's the Legion enemy. But as you probably heard, that was my timer telling me that I've reached my limit for this episode. So please leave a thumbs up if you enjoyed this video. Subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you next time. Umbasa.